I want to open this video by addressing the elephant in the room. No pun intended. Since this announcement of Pro Skater 3 and 4, I am so sick of seeing my suggested videos on social media crying about the changes being made to Pro Skater 4. Like seriously, shut the hell up. Because when was the last time you actually played through the original game for yourself? I mean, seriously, I was feeling the same way as all of you guys until I began remaking my old videos, and that gave me a new perspective on the whole thing. My primary goal of revisiting these original games was to simply do them better justice than my older videos, and I still want to do that here today, so look, I might save my breakdown of this situation until the end of the video. So for now, let's just warp ourselves back in time to get lost in a game that would ultimately set the trend for all sports games moving forward. THPS 4 dropped in 2002. It dropped not only onto store shelves, but also dropped the tired format of arcade-style time limits, evolving into a more free-flowing, open, and natural experience, which was the trend at the time following Rockstar's success with Grand Theft Auto. At its core, the gameplay hasn't really been changed at all. In fact, it's only been further refined with several more big additions to the toolkit. We've got spine transfers now, which is a lot of fun, an entire slalom mechanic which gets pushed big on certain stages, but I think most importantly is the adoption of trick extensions. We saw the early stages of this within 3's hidden combos, but now, when you're doing grinds, manuals, or lip tricks, pressing different button combinations switches up your moves on the fly. This, aside from just being really fun to do, assisted in scoring even higher numbers and more outrageous combo lines, which, as we established last time, is the true mastery that these games encourage. So that's really cool to see. Booting up career mode, we've got all of our pros who once again can be edited to our liking, which is great to see because whenever I play Tony Hawk, I always like to have him wear a helmet. You know, it's a little detail, but it's always bugged me about these games that unless you're playing Pro Skater 2 or 1+2, that Tony Hawk never wears his signature helmet. Do the game designers think it looks dorky or something? What's dorky about protecting your bones? We can also give Bam a more fitting outfit, or get silly with some of the purchasable costumes. Yeah, we're earning money again this time to put towards new skaters, levels, cosmetics, cheats, and all sorts of other goodies. Having the freedom to prioritise what you want to unlock is something that I always prefer in games. But having said all of that, Creator Skater is finally at the standard that the series is so well known for. Custom players actually look alright, we've got a good variety of pieces to play with, and we can even get into the nitty gritty of board design now with different grip tapes and wheels. Kicking off in the college level with imposter Atiba Jefferson.
We're working on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. When it came time to start adding special characters, they said, well, we want to get a photographer. I was like, Atiba.
It's fucked up because they didn't use my voice.
Did he tell you about his voice?
If I remember right, they just didn't like my voice.
It just didn't sound that convincing. So they got someone else to do his lines.
They just had a stock black dude.
It's Atiba's face and body with a very dope voice.
Hey, if you want to open up some new places to skate, try talking to some of the guys with the arrows over their heads.
We're let loose to roam and take things at our own pace, which is the big selling point of the game this year. Your classic goals are still ever present, presented to us by various NPCs laid around the map looking for high scores, combo lines, trick attacks, and even contests. Not to mention those pesky skate letters always running off. This makes the game a lot more carefree to roam around and familiarize familiarise yourself with the terrain, discover new lines or secrets. There are even several mini-games to take part in for an alternative way to earn some cash, or just shoot the shit really. They don't really serve much purpose beyond mere amusement, but it's got that mischievous vibe to it which perfectly fits under the skateboarding umbrella. Because of these various changes, maps have now seen a significant increase in size, for better, and in some cases for worse. Maps like San Francisco feature a lot of dead space along the main strip of road through the middle, which sort of goes against what makes the game so fun. Same case for the zoo level, which has many of the same issues, while Alcatraz and the shipyard deliver a more classic amusement park of traversable items, ranging from the technical to the absolute insane, all ripe for a rad session. Now, I'd like to point out that from this original quadrilogy of titles, Pro Skater 4 never got the classic mode treatment, hence why I'm so excited for the upcoming game. Which is something to consider. Why is that? The levels Los Angeles, Airport, The Hangar, and Downhill Jam were at one point all tied for the most appearances at 7 apiece, until 1 and 2 bumped the latter two courses up to 8 total appearances, which is just insane. But of course this is going to even up again once 3 and 4 drops this July. Yet a fan favourite map, or, an actually good course like College, have been trapped on our Xboxes and PS2s since the day they launched. I find that really strange. Perhaps, and look, I have a theory on why this is that will become relevant to the discussion later on, but I'm thinking that because these maps are generally bigger, that maybe they just didn't suit the classic mode style with the timer. That's the only reason I can see as to why these may have been excluded from reappearing in later games. All but for Alcatraz, that is. Yeah, fun fact, Alcatraz did actually appear in 2 other Tony Hawk games. It featured as a main course in American Skateland on the DS with this really cool nighttime theme, and despite the system's limitations, was actually a pretty faithful recreation and a lot of fun to play through. And then the following title, Project 8, which actually lacked any sort of classic mode on console, did feature one on the PlayStation Portable, which included Alcatraz and Hawaii from Underground. Yeah, weird, but still pretty neat to see. So yeah, like I said, we are going to be coming back to this point a little later on, but look, as far as Pro Skater 4 is concerned, I feel like it's a great host to this new style of presenting objectives. I will say, in many cases, goals are much easier to achieve, now with the 2 minutes to complete a single objective, which as the game progresses, can still prove challenging, don't get me wrong, but your general missions are far less memorable because of this. No, THPS 4 is all about that personality and unique character of each location, really enhancing what the previous game started to implement. We've got to stop car thieves by skitching the back of vehicles, rescue a dude hanging above a shark's mouth by grinding a ball to roll away and knock the shark out. We need to race coppers around the London streets before finishing them off by stealing their hats and catching huge airs out above the ocean. It's almost a precursor to the beloved Jackass-inspired campaign of Underground 2, which was more mini-games and stunts focused, rather than the traditional arcade action that had already been perfected. It was fresh for the time, but does inherently come with a few issues. First one for me is the soundtrack. And listen, it's a banger as always, but the extended visits to each location does lead to songs repeating more frequently over the course of a single playthrough, which, doesn't really matter. If you get sick of listening to drunken lullabies, then that might just be a you problem, but I gotta admit, it does get a bit played out. Seriously, it's actually a shame that we didn't have Spotify back in the day. When I played through this as a kid, by the time I reached the Kona level, I was turning the volume down and playing my own music from a CD or something. Look, I guess what I'm trying to say is that the increased freedom and variety is good, but the pace of the game feels like more of a drag for me. Look, there is no way around it. There are a lot of filler missions in this game. Silly little things that are either played more for laughs, which slowly tend to fade over the years, or tired old concepts done again and again, just with a different coat of paint. And regardless of your preferred skater, you level up your stat points so quickly in this game that the unique feel of each character goes almost unnoticed here. I do like being able to swap out and continue on the same career though, that's really cool, and I wish more of the games could have adopted this format, especially with the unique pro-specific goals which teach you about landmark events in the sport, or about a real skater's style development or major contribution to skateboarding lore. These are all great. You know, Burnquist doing the loop with no roof, huge launches with Alyssa Steamer, Caballero on the half-pipe for a double sesh with Rick Thorne, Bam's shopping trolley massacre, which is a fucking pain in the ass, and some really cool other stuff like Bucky Lasic's shipyard combo on a structure that gradually breaks away as you skate it. You know, I can't think of anything else like that from any of these games. You know, that's the kind of stuff that always stayed with me with this franchise, was its passionate focus on history, as well as just, you know, being dope fucking action games. And by completing enough goals, you can unlock the pro career objectives, which are all the truest test of a player's ability at the game. And I gotta say, genuine completion of these is legit one of the most rewarding things that any game could offer. Even the unlockable levels all come with their own goals too, which is really neat to see, so it's nice actually getting to be presented with the storyline of a location, and secret characters preserve that fun insanity that these games all do so well. There's not as many unlockable characters as last time, but hey, when you've got Jango Fett jetpack launching around the map, then what else could you possibly need? I'd also like to mention that the PlayStation 1 remake of this game, which was just thoroughly exhausting to play through, however, it did feature its own exclusive levels that have only appeared in this game. The secret unlockable course was Little Big World, and it admittedly sucked ass through a silly straw. But the Sewers course from the main campaign genuinely offered some of the most fun objectives from the inferior port, so it's a shame that I doubt we'll ever be seeing this one revisited ever again. So, where does that leave us in terms of a final opinion on this game? Listen, let's get one thing very clear right out of the gate, okay? This is still an awesome game, and I love it. You know, it was groundbreaking for the time, but it's not the timeless classic that a lot of people seem to think that it is. Listen, this is going to be hard for a lot of people to hear, I know, so look, just remember, I'm not a real skater, so my opinions don't matter, according to a lot of people. Fuck 'em. Pro Skater 4 is a product of its time, and that's fine. There is a lot to love about this game, from the huge leaps in refining the gameplay mechanics, to the smaller details like adjustable skate objects within levels that you can edit to your liking. I mean, man, we didn't see editable stages like this until Proving Ground, and only Proving Ground, many years later. So there was a lot of forward thinking in that regard, but to say that all of the silly little gags, Easter eggs, all the drawn out jokey missions make the game good is just ignorant nostalgia in my opinion. So I'm going to stay with my original score for this one, meaning that Pro Skater 4 gets a 7 out of 10. It's still very good though, I can't stress that enough, but I was kind of done with it early into my playthrough, as there is a lot here that feels just outdated and unnecessary. Which brings me to looking forward now to the upcoming remake just over the horizon, and the general consensus online that it's been ruined. My childhood will never be the same. It's just a soulless cash grab. Bro, all of these games are cash grabs. They are designed to make money. 1 and 2 was a cash grab, and you all ate it up because it was a fun dose of nostalgia. So what's the problem? Oh, the problem is they're taking away everything that made the original great. Okay, well first of all, Bam Margera didn't make the game great. In fact, whether he is included or not in the new game is entirely on him. No pun intended. He's had a rough decade, no doubt about it, and from a business perspective, that's an image of a past generation and style of fame that, quite frankly, is best left in the past. This idea that skateboarding was all about growing up to drive Lambos and stuff, which was echoed within the video games as well, was always kind of gross to me. And listen, this is coming from someone who loved Jackass and loved Viva La Bam, and I always admired Bam's skateboarding style. So having said that, I am very pleased to see that Tony has gone to bat for him with Activision and his inclusion within this new remake. Once again, whether he's in it or not is entirely on him, because right now he seems to be doing much better and getting back on track, so his involvement with the remastered games he debuted in would absolutely be just a really cool thing to see. My problem with the fan base at the moment is that there are just so many unsatisfied, uncompromising people out there who don't seem to realise how lucky they are that they're even getting this game in the first place, given that it was at one point confirmed to be cancelled. Look, maybe it's just me, but I was raised under the mantra of have what you're given or go without. And if the lack of Pro Skater 4's unique career mode in exchange for the tried and tested, admittedly easier option of the classic 2-minute timer is what gets this game shipped, then I'm all for it. Because like I've been saying, 4 needs a fresh coat of paint in my opinion. Am I concerned for a lot of the better aspects of the game being cut? Absolutely I am. I see no reason why the pro-specific challenges of 4 can't still be their own standalone mode in the new game, and look, I'll be devastated if they're inevitably not included. But on the same hand, I will be very glad if I don't have to do that dogshit muster music challenge again that sounds like complete arse, or the annoying Kona slalom run ever again. You know, even the guy who made that mission admits that it wasn't great, so cut it. I say trim the fat, get the game focused and consistent. I think we're all ready for something new from the franchise after so long, and if we just so happen to get that under the guise of a remaster, then I'm all for seeing what they can achieve, because at the end of the day, the original games are still there, and you can still play them. So I'm just stoked to have more Pro Skater and get the chance to shred out some of these classic locations one more time. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Square Eye Jack, and I hope you have a great fucking day. I'll see you all very soon.